All right, welcome to episode 3. I know I'm wearing glasses indoors, but I don't care. The sun keeps, I don't know if you'll see it. You may have seen it in the previous episodes. It doesn't matter. Problem solved. God's got some obstacles. Anyway, so I need to elaborate on something that I made in the previous 2 videos in this series, connecting it back to the whole mind-body dualism and the whole talk therapy session aspect of it. I came up with some notes last night to prepare for this video so that I can make it clear that my aim with all these videos is to avoid repeating myself. It's something that Will Swan, the guitarist, has said uh, at least once or twice in interviews that I've seen about, it's something that they avoid doing. Like every album they want to make better than the last, um, by challenging themselves. He actually jokingly said that if it's hard to play, as in like it's pushed his boundaries as an artist or guitarist, then he knows then that it's good. Uh, anyway, so the point that I'm getting to is that within this musical lasagna that they got going on, they I need to make it clear that it's not my job to tell you what these lyrics mean. It's not anyone's job to tell you what reality is or anything like that, because if anyone pretends that they have all the answers, they're either lying to you or they're wrong. They're being delusional, you know. Anyway, such to say, it fits into several lyrics. We'll go down the line, and that's why I haven't been breaking these lyrics down line by line yet. Eventually, I will pause the song and talk about, or even review at the end, how certain lyrics um, seem to be talking about something specific. That said, what I mean by it's not my job to tell you what these lyrics mean is, as most lyrics and masterpiece level art functions as, is it's meant to be interpreted by the audience. Like, what the lyrics mean is completely up to you. As in, there's a relationship in all art between the artist and the audience, even if the audience is just the artist themselves. If you've ever heard of outsider art, it's something. It's a fascinating phenomenon. You should look into it if you haven't. But it's basically, I'm not going to go into it, but yeah. So my point is, they had an intent behind these lyrics, and they mean something to them, but they don't define meaning, and they know that and understand that. So that's why they're presenting all these interpretive elements in all of their stuff. And you can see in the reflection in my glasses how I'm listening to all of this is the Rise Records YouTube channel. Anyway, which I can't be more grateful for. Like a record company just like uploading all their stuff to YouTube for people to listen for free. Like that's incredible. Anyway, so uh, speaking of that, brings me to my next note that if there are any ads in these videos, my intention isn't to make money off of these things. Like I just want to spread the peace, love, and joy that Dance Gavin Dance is also trying to spread by like helping them continue to do that and expose them to more people. I really am not in this for me in any sense of the word. So like if there are ads, the copyright detection system within the algorithm will make it make sure that the any revenue coming from the ads goes directly to Dance Gavin Dance or their handlers or owners, whatever. But the final point I wanted to make was throughout this entire series, from beginning to end, even episode 1, leading all the way into the end of Afterburner, because I really care about this. Because I care about you, if you care. You know what I mean? Anyway, so is to keep in mind constantly that these lyrics are all meant to be interpreted by you. I'm not here to tell you, what they mean. That said, I've noticed that along with this, or within and surrounding this mind body dualism that they're going for, is that sometimes, and only sometimes, the conversation is happening between the mind and the body. Now, what I mean by that is the conversation is happening, like within oneself. Other times, it's when the song is about a certain subject or a person or whatever. Whether or not the song is about a subject or a person, Tilian is still representing the egotistical, higher thinking self, and while John Mess is still representing the, primitive, emotional aspects of it, and that's that's not to say or imply that the mind can't feel things and the body can't think things, quote unquote, right? Which is why at some point they start talking about, like the nature of God and consciousness and all that kind of shit, because it's consciousness is unknown. Like no matter what anyone tries to say, like in neurochemistry or whatever, until we can properly put a definition on life, it's just gonna be, a mystery. You know what I mean? Like we've tried a million times to try and define life and consciousness and all that, but we just keep going around in circles about, like, well, what about this? Like, what about this? Is a virus alive? Anyways, such to say. Strange tangent, I know, but it's important to keep in mind going forward, because I know it may seem strange that I'm not like reviewing the lyrics, but my reaction to them should give you a sense of, like what they may mean, both to you and to me, and what the intention behind that lyric was. It's all just an experiment anyway. So, yeah, so getting back to what I was saying about whether or not the song is about a certain subject or person. Because it's easy for the mind to forget that it has a body and vice versa, that like the body is just sort of doing its own thing while the mind does its own thing, and they sort of conflict sometimes and like cause issues. Like Tilian could be singing about like a person he's thinking about or whatever, but the body is reacting to that in the song. So it's not necessarily a conversation back and forth, but sort of a conversation happening past the mind and body, if that makes sense, which plays into, the overall introspective experience that, sometimes you talk to yourself, sometimes you don't learn about, what your mind or body was trying to tell each other until weeks later, and you're like, got tummy aches because, your higher thinking self wanted to eat like too many spicy buffalo wings or something. It's just a weird example, but it translates the point, I think, in that metaphor. Anyway, so again, without further ado, taking up way too much time going over this, so again, it's all just food for thought. This is only episode 3. I'm going to try not to make these rants or points too long in the video. That said, you're free to skip forward, if you don't want to hear any of this. That said, it's some insight I think is important to what these guys do and are as musicians and artists. Again, it's all for people who care. For people who don't, like I said, you can skip ahead. So again, keep saying this without further ado. Here we go with Acceptance Speech, the third song on Acceptance Speech 2.0, the title track. And again, these lyrics mean something to you, or should or could. If they don't, you know what to do. And here we go. Let me start that over.
Who drinks the blood from my hand? Who comes through with the meds? Blackened seas, you're gonna need these freaks. The common ancestral, the pressure of industry. Who sleeps in the grease, grease wax
Okay, so yeah, where to start with that one, right? So obviously, it's clear, what I was saying earlier about the mind-body dualism. That the body has its own agenda, the mind has its own agenda, and sometimes the two meet and have a pleasant little talk because it's the power of introspection, or talking to God, so to speak. Uh, fitting into the power of prayer, religion, um, philosophy, ideology, and like I said, talk therapy, and even just the power of community, if you think about it that way. Anyway, so how I personally interpret Will Swan coming in with the rap part at the end, talking about, waking up in a new Bugatti, waking up next to Jodi Arias, which, if you don't know about her,
You should. She's crazy.
anyway, so uh, my interpretation of Will Swan's rap parts that he comes in with, this is for the title track. And as far as I understand, Will Swan is the lead songwriter slash structurer of songs. Like he said in several, or at least one interview I've seen, about how, I'll go ahead and just quote it. I wrote it to a buddy the other day. Okay, yeah, so Will Swan said in an interview, pardon me, so I like to shepherd the songs along. Yeah, I structure it out, I show them my babies, and I get other people involved, and it takes a village, That should be clear, where Will Swan's coming from in terms of, where his place is in the band. That he's the spearheader. Some people have tried to claim it's his band, but, he's not narcissistic about it. It's just, he likes to write music, which is why he has so many other side projects and owns his own record label now, which I plan on, submitting my own stuff to at some point. Anyway, so my interpretation of him bringing all this in with this rap part is he sort of represents the robot with human hair. He's basically a fucking madman when it comes to writing stuff. Like he comes in with all this material and they just adapt to it and change it and evolve it in a unique way that comes out in their ultimate sound. But also because he's like sort of the rock holding or the planet gravitationally holding all the band members together with this process. He felt it comfortable to feature on not only this song but also "Death of the Robot" because he's the robot with human hair. And yeah, my point with that is that he felt comfortable coming in with more than one rap part on this album because as far as I understand it doesn't happen very often. It's only like once or twice an album depending on like what feels natural, I guess. Anyway, so Will Swan represents the ego or the human in the middle of the angel and the devil, which just to put a point on it, I listened to one of their singles called Headhunter yesterday while I was in the car, and they make the opening lyrics are, or at least sung by Tilian, simple angel, perfect devil. So, that says it all right there about, the point that I was making in episode 2. Anyway, so to avoid this becoming too long and boring or drawn out, again, just to make the point that in this song, along with every other song, the lyrics are meant to be interpreted by you. Like, whatever it means to you is sort of canon. But again, my interpretation, what it means to me, is that the robot with human hair came in on the title track of the album that he helped create to put a pin on it, as well as represent, like I said, the human element between the heart and the mind, or the id, ego, and superego. Because, he's just a man like everyone else. And I think that's about where I'll wrap it up. Look forward to episode 4 and the rest of them if you dig this kind of content. And again, this is just the thoughts of another guy. So, again, if you like what you see, you know what to do. Same goes for if you don't like it. You know, I don't mean that in a mean way. That said, either way, I love you.